Sponsored by Model Makers Workshop. Need parts for your next model project? Model Makers Workshop has you covered with the best aftermarket accessories around. And by Gaahleri, your one-stop shopping for all your airbrush needs. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. So it is March 27th, 2026, and this is show number 13. Lucky 13, I might add. Hope everybody's having a good week. I did too. I did not work a day, so I'm living up to the title of my channel, Model Building in Retirement. Like I said, I'm going to be phasing out that work thing for the second time, but it looks good so far. Okay, so we got some people in the room here. We got 33 people already in here. Quite a few people I see. I see my brother Dave. Hi, Dave. How you doing, buddy? And, Kevin Smith and Krista, my moderators. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And, boy, lots and lots of other guys here. I see Bill, and I see Mike, and Slugo, and Glenn, and Chet. Hi, guys. John. I guess I don't need that anymore, John. You got the closed caption, but it's a habit now. So welcome, everybody. Welcome all. Weather-wise in Ohio, it's showing springtime. It's showing. Yesterday, a bunch of my neighbors were out mowing. Mine not really needs it yet. I mean, maybe next week. But it was like in the 70s. I had the Harley out, went for a nice ride yesterday, and then today we're back to freezing. So it's coming. It's coming. So I appreciate everybody who tuned in last week when I had Rod Miskew on. Wasn't he an incredible builder? I mean, the detail of his work was impeccable. In fact, he inspired me a little bit here to start detailing my builds a little bit more. But there was one thing he said that really stuck with me because it just looks so overwhelming to be building to that caliber. But the one thing he says that kind of just simplifies it, and it's all mental, it's all right here, is he said, you build every piece as if it's a model kit. And that is so simple. So, it slows you down quite a bit to do a model like that. But, let's say the carburetor. So you get that carburetor in front of you, and, hey, let's dedicate some hours to this carburetor. Makes sense to me. You can put fuel lines on it. You can put return springs and linkage and all kinds of stuff in a few hours. So just tackle them one by one by one. So Rod, I appreciate the inspiration. I've got a good show for you tonight too. Hey Joe, how you doing? Got some other guys coming in here. Good deal. Hang on a second here. Get all my equipment set up. Okay, so tonight's guest is going to be James Duff of the Stash Project and the Automotive Podcast. So you've probably seen him on one of those two places. So we're going to be talking some pretty cool stuff here. He just came off a stint last week of a show in Pittsburgh, I believe it was, where he was the head judge for an IPMS model contest. So I think it's going to be interesting. He's going to take us through the judging steps on that. So we're going to learn a little bit about that. I have a fun little exercise plan for that. And then he has one of the biggest stashes I ever heard of. I think it's somewhere around 1,400 kits. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then let's look at some of my upcoming guests too that we have here. Let's go through that list real quick. Okay, so next week we're going to have Natalie Prue, female builder, going to be the first female I had on the channel. The only one who's accepted my invitation so far, but thanks, Natalie. She has sent me a bunch of cool pictures. She's a very, very good builder. So we're going to talk about her story, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then on April 10th, I'm sure everybody knows this guy. We're going to have Irv Arter of Arter Rake fame. And I think that's going to be a good show. He's pretty creative, and he's known for that rake, the play on his name. Then on April 17th, Dylan Thomas from New York State Modeling, another excellent builder. So I think we're going to see and have a pretty cool discussion there. And he's a younger builder too, so it's always nice to get the younger crowd in here. And not everybody has to be an old builder. And then on April 25th, there'll be no show. You got to live without me for a week. We'll be up there going to the NNL East show up in Jersey. And then when we return the next week on May 1st, it'll be Jason Hanscom of Blue Ox Model Shop. Going to have a really good conversation with him. I consider him like one of the best ambassadors to the hobby. He just does a good job of promoting the hobby and doing the group builds and just kind of keeping the whole model building community together, I would say. A good spokesperson for that, let's say. And then on May 8th will be Craig Gordon, otherwise known as Stumpy Grumps, Scale Speed Shop. And Craig is an expert at water-based acrylics and a very good builder in his own right, too. I was very impressed with his ability to paint stuff like even water-based craft paints and stuff like that. He's a master at mixing that up and getting that to spray real good out of an airbrush. I've only been able to start catching up with him now with the Kaleido paints because they're a little bit easier to use. But he's going to be an excellent guest. And, from there, I don't know. We're going to be ending the season here soon when summertime comes. I'm going to take a break. I may sneak in a show or two in the summer as we go by, but I think I'm going to take a break for the summer and enjoy the Ohio weather while we can. All right, so let's get that off the screen. Appreciate everybody for coming back and watching those with us every time we have a new guest on. Okay, so what else we got here? So I want to talk about the Buckeye Classic show that I just went to last week. Let me get that on the stage here. So if you haven't seen it, I've already got a video out on it, and it's a coverage of the Buckeye Classic in Hilliard, Ohio, which is a suburb of Columbus. I did kind of screw up on my video, though. It was a very crowded show, and my video stank. It was terrible. So what I did is I turned it into a slideshow, and it was kind of painstaking to do, but I really wanted to do that. But there was one special thing that came out of that show, and I mentioned it, or it's in the video here. Oop, hang on a second. I just lost my show. Stand by. Okay, everybody still with me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we're good. Somehow I clicked away. That was scary. So anyways, checking. Is it still working? Are we there, folks? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so anyways, when I was at the Columbus show, and it's on my video there, I met a guy by the name of Don Sheridan. And Don was a fan of the show, and he approached me early on at the show, and we got to talking, and throughout the day we kind of kept running into each other and continued our conversations or whatnot. And he had a couple cars at the show that was pretty good. One of them was a '69 Camaro, and another one was a later model Camaro, larger scale, and then there was this '69 Chevelle here. And I was complimenting on him, and I told him out of the 3 picks, I thought the Chevelle was the coolest model of them all. And just as we were wrapping up, I realized I didn't take a photo. Like if you see me standing in front of that car there, I didn't take a photo that I could put myself in front of the green screen with. So I asked him if I could do that with his car. And right after I did this, he hands me the car and says he wants me to have it. So he gifted me this car. And in fact, I'm going to switch cameras real quick and show you the real thing here. But what a generous thing for Don to do. Don Sheridan. Let me switch cameras real quick, and I'm going to show you that car. Okay, why is that camera not working? Let's stand by. Okay, things are just a little sluggish here. So here's that 69 Chevelle, and it's really a nice build. Beautiful paint on there. He did a really nice job. Nice polished. He's got some nice bare metal foil. Separately applied windows, door handles, all that stuff. Underbody's done up real nice. It's got an antenna on it. A nice wired engine. But I was very honored. I can't believe that he gave that to me. So this is the second time that I used a model as a backdrop for a green screen on one of my show videos. And the car was gifted to me. The first one was the 68 Firebird from Kevin Smith. And here's another one. I mean, I just can't believe it. You guys are so generous, but I love it. It's going to go on my shelf, and I'm going to be very proud of that for time to come. Now, you may see some other cars here, and we're going to talk about that shortly, but they are out for a reason. So let me get my camera switch back. Okay, there I am. Okay. So once again, thanks. A shout out to Don Sheridan. I really appreciate that. Hey, let's throw out a little trivia while we're at it. This time, I'm going to throw one out that's just slightly more trickier than I have in the past. We're still on the 1969 theme because I had a bunch of these up on the slideshow, but as we get to talking with our guests and that, it's hard to keep throwing into trivia. But this one I'm going to throw up there and see if you could figure this one out. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So, first one to guess the make and model of that is the winner. No prizes, just for fun. But it's a little bit of a curve, so I'm going to be real interested to see who comes up with what here. No, Kevin, it is not. And no, Jim Barkley, no, it's not. Joe's Rush Shop. Joe, you got it. You got it. I thought my brother Dave was going to get that right off the bat first because he owned one of these cars back in high school. How he ever got his hands on a car where they only built 500 of them back in high school, I don't know. But it was one of the many muscle cars that he owned in the day. So, yep, Joe's new Rush Shop, you got it. It was a Ford Torino Talladega, specially built to compete with the Superbirds and the Mopars. Wasn't quite as aerodynamic as those, but the nose of that Torino was custom built, so that whole front grille and front end is been modified a bit. Okay, so I'm going to cue the next one up real quick here too, so when we go to the next trivia, I have it ready. There we go. Okay. All right, so we got 45 people in the room. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Okay. Hey, next I want to talk about the Facebook group. A month ago, just 1 month ago to the day, we had just hit 2,000 group members of my Facebook group called Model Building and Retirement. And today, just before I signed on here, we are just shy by a few of 4,200. So we have over doubled the amount of group members in just a month. It's amazing. I appreciate everybody who's been joining the group, and there's some real talented builders there. Everybody is welcome. I have no restriction as far as the type of builds that you can put on there. It could be military, it could be aircraft, it could be race cars, ships, and of course, my favorite is automotive, but everybody is welcome. The only rule I have just is no politics. So, but it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't already been there, join my group. I do have a link in the description of this video of that. Okay, so what else do I got? Let's see. I have last time when I was doing my bench update, I wasn't quite done yet, but I have now finished my 1971 Ford F-250 4x4 Mobius kit. This one just happened to take a picture the other morning out in some of the rocks we had out in the yard. I thought that was a pretty cool picture. But I was really happy with that build, and I do have a video out on that. That's also a link in my description for that video if you want to watch the build video of that. And I had a lot of fun detailing this one out. Like I said, Rod Maskew kind of gave me inspiration to go a little bit further on my details here. So let's take a little closer look here. Okay, so what we got, I have been wiring my distributors, but if you look closely from the battery, I've got power going to, or the wires go to a voltage regulator, and then they're running down to the starter, and others are going to the firewall. I've got the washer bottle plumbed all the way up to the windshield washers, which you can't see from that angle so much. And I've also got a line going off the master cylinder. Should be two, but the kit only came with one, but it should have front and rear brakes. But anyways, thanks to Rod, he kind of inspired me to go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to keep delving into this as I go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one or two kits, and I'm going to build them off camera. And I'll continue to do my normal builds, the ones I put on videos or stuff, but I'm going to take one or two kits and I'm just going to set them to the side and build them with no camera whatsoever and just take my time. And I don't care if it takes me 6 months to build them. Then I'll do a video showing what I did, because I just want to test myself and not have the pressures of getting it up for a video or working around a camera or whatnot. So not that I don't mind doing that, because I have a channel and that's what it's all about. But I want to kind of test myself, so I haven't picked the two kits for that yet. But I'm going to pick something and do that. Another announcement I want to make as we get closer to getting my guest on here is Kaleido, one of my sponsors from Gaahleri, the makers of the airbrushes and air compressors or whatnot, has a special going on, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So it's the Amazon Gaahleri Spring Deal, and it starts yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago, and it runs all the way through March 31st. And I will have a link in the description directly to the Amazon main page of their store. And if you use Model Building and Retirement Ken 10, so that's MBIR Ken 10, you will get an additional 10% off of their sale prices. And let me get the comments off of there for just a moment so that we can see that a little bit better. But the first one here, look at this airbrush. This is their beginner airbrush, the GHAD 39. And let me tell you, that is a workhorse of an airbrush. And it comes with a 0.3 and a 0.5 millimeter 0.3 and a 0.5 millimeter needle and nozzle combination. You can't beat that at $29.99. Plus you get your 10% off code. So I highly recommend checking that out. Now they do have some other brushes. That's the main entry level one. And then they also got what they call their GHAD 68, and that also, I think, comes with the 0.3 and a 0.5. It's a little bit nicer airbrush, and it's a trigger control on that one. If you don't have that finger control, the trigger control is more conventional, like a regular spray gun. So $50.99 minus 10% would be a pretty good deal. And then they've got their Mobius 0.2 millimeter airbrush. That's just shy of $70, but you get 10% off, so that takes $7 off of that. And then they've got the Mobius 0.3 millimeter, which I use quite a bit. It's an excellent airbrush for about $60. So anyways, you want to check them out. And also, they are just introducing this new little air compressor, and it also comes with the GHAD 39 airbrush. So you get an air compressor and an airbrush for $68. And I will be doing a demo on that, and I'm going to do a contest. Somebody's going to win that. I'm going to use it just once for my video, and then I'm going to have a contest, and somebody's going to win that on an upcoming video. So, but anyways, check it out. If you're in the need of any airbrushes or supplies, check it out on Amazon for up till March 31st. Where am I? There I am. I'm back. Speaking of Amazon, or speaking of Gaahleri and Kaleido, I just wanted to show you something real quick because this is a video that I'm working on right now, and that went away. Here it is. I'm sorry, my navigation is terrible. But I am working on this. I spent all day on this video. I'm almost done. I'll probably finish it tomorrow. But this is their new line of 12 colored translucent or candy colors, if you will. And I'm sitting in front of a bunch of spoons. And I had done 2 base coats. I did a silver and gold. And I painted all 12 colors on each. So I spent all day today doing 24 spray outs, and tomorrow I'm going to clear coat them. But I'll tell you what, I'm not allowed to show you yet because it's not announced. But tomorrow I'm going to get a clear coat on there. But I'm really impressed with these colors, and I can't wait to show you. I was asked to wait until they announce them officially, and I believe it's either going to be the end of this month, which is right about now, or it was going to be the next month. So stay tuned. And why am I teasing you with that? Well, because it brings you back. How else am I going to get you to come back? But no, really, you're going to have to stick around. That's going to be an excellent video. I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay. And speaking of the candy colors inspiration, I did some playing around here for my first build once I get into those colors. Let me bring that slide up. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, so I used ChatGPT, and I told it exactly what I wanted. I wanted a candy red top side, and I wanted a candy blue bottom side, and a silver zigzag stripe down the side. And this is what it gave me. It's exactly what I told it to do, and it's given me an inspiration. And I had planned to do it on the 66 Nova, and I think I still will, but I want to show you. I wasn't sure about that, so I went ahead and asked it to do that same paint scheme on a couple other cars. Let me know which one's your favorite, but I'm probably going to do it on this one. But there it is on a 68 or 60 Impala. Maybe I'll do one of every one of these. I think that's really cool looking. And the colors that I sprayed out look very similar to that, so it will look like that. And here's a Challenger. And then I got that new Mustang from Tamiya, the GT4. So it's a possibility I could do that paint scheme on that one too. So anyways, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But I really enjoy using that ChatGPT for an inspiration on the builds. Okay, getting close to bringing James on here. So another thing I did at the Columbus show, and we got 57 people in here. Thanks for joining, folks. Come on in. Come on in. Let me get them comments turned back on, too. Just stand by here. Okay, so when I was at the Columbus show, one of my favorite things is going through the vendor aisle here, and I picked up 7 kits, so I'm going to show you those real quick, because I found some really cool stuff, a lot of good deals, except for this one. This one was a little pricey, but I got this one from James Tester, who's also a member of the Automotive Podcast with James Duff and Sean Svensson. But this is the 12-cylinder Ferrari Spider. This is a resin cast build model. Nice heavy box. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it comes with photo etch and all kinds of details. This is going to be a really fun build. I was putting it off because I didn't think my skill level was there, but this is one that I just couldn't resist, so I did come home with that one. I can't wait to build that. And I'm also still going to build that 3D resin one that I got from Model Maker's Workshop. He's sending me the missing parts to that kit as we speak. So what else did I get? Got some pretty good deals. So these were like $20 each, even though this shows 25. When I bought a pair of them, he knocked it down to 20. But you know, you can't beat that. And today's models are hitting about $40. But here's a 64 AMT Belvedere, and I always liked that car, so you know, I picked that model up. picked up the 1960 Ford Ranchero. So this is kind of a late model. This is still available at even like Hobby Lobby and that, I believe. But my family had a 1960 Ford station wagon when I was a kid, so this is as close as I can get to it right now as a Ranchero. Picked up 1969 AMT Cougar Eliminator. I always thought that was a sharp-looking car, so I got some nice plans for that one. I've just got stuff that I just don't see at hobby stores anymore, So some of these, in fact, my guest is probably going to be able to tell me exactly when all these were put out. But here is a 1961 Pontiac Ventura, so that's a little bit different than the norm. And who makes this one? Mobius. Oh, this is a Mobius kit. Okay, well, if it's anything like that Ford pickup truck, that's going to be a nice build. I can't wait to do that. And this is another one I picked up from James Tester when I was there the other day. My wife drives a 2017 Challenger, and unfortunately they don't have a kit for that year out. And the only thing different is the front grille and tail lights and the interior have changed in 2017. But I'm going to build this up in Go Mango, the same color as hers with black stripes. So that'll be a fun build coming up. And then finally, it's a big box and not in the best shape, the box-wise, but it's a 1960 Impala. So that one I showed you with the candy colors, it could possibly come from this kit here. But the boxes are the kit's in there. It's a 125th scale. So got a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to have a lot of fun with these builds. So my stash is growing. Not growing quite as much as my guest, who has 1,400 coming up. And before I bring him on, we're going to do one more trivia, and then we'll bring James on. So let's get another trivia car up on the screen. And again, it's a 1969. And see if you can guess this one. It's an easy one. Beautiful car. I owned one. Unfortunately, the one I owned, I think, was it was a 4-door 6-cylinder. But it was a really nice car. No, I think it was a 2-door. Yep, Dart. Yep. You got it right. Stout Creations number 24. You got it. Dart Swinger. Pretty car. I've always admired that car. Okay. Well, I think that's all the news that I needed to catch up with. So without any further ado, it's time to bring on my guest. So with everybody here, let's welcome James Duff. Hello, James. How you doing, buddy?
Ah! Oh, sorry. It said to be prepared, and I was not. Hi, Ken. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. I appreciate you joining me tonight.
Yep.
Good. You're down in your stash room, I see.
I am indeed, as always. Yeah. For people who don't follow our podcast, yes, there are a pile of stuffed animals back there in my pick booth. It was a gag my wife started. My cats used to try to sleep in the paint booth, so I put the pillowcase over top of it so they wouldn't lay on the filter. And so they decided that the pillowcase was even more comfortable than the actual booth itself. So my wife got me a Valentine's Day stuffed animal probably 20 years ago. And so I stuck it in there so they couldn't lay in it. And now it's become a running gag that every year we're buying something else back there.
You know what's really weird, though, is I watch the podcasts every week, and those things move.
Yes, my wife does come down here and reorganize them to see if people will pay attention. So
Cool. So I recognize the camera angle, so that's the same as your podcast every week. And then you also have your own YouTube channel. What's it called? The Stash Project?
Stash Project, yep. I started that 11 years ago now, on the basis that I got tired of people not knowing what they were talking about, about like kit releases and stuff like that. And I haven't done a video for quite a while. I was extremely busy at the end of my last job, and now I've changed jobs, and I'm still, getting through the training process there. So I haven't had the real opportunity to do anything with the YouTube recently, other than run the podcast on the channel. But I was doing a weekly show where I talked about new kits announcements, what kits were coming out. Obviously, there was a lot of Japanese stuff in that because Revell puts out, 1 or 2 kits a year. Round 2 puts out a few kits a month kind of thing. And then it went into like a monthly type of thing. But the internet, for all its greatness of bringing everybody together, like you live not that far away from where I grew up, if we didn't have the internet connection, we would probably pass each other at shows, not know each other, because we're just, 2 guys hang out in our basements who build models who happen to be at a show. And like, we're, this is not the most social hobby in the world to begin with, right? Because you sort of hang out by yourself. But there's a lot of misinformation on the internet too. And so I sort of like, I'm going to, I had friends with people in the industry, made friends with other people in the industry to sort of be like I'm bringing you a fact-based, this is what's coming, this is what's not coming. I think one of the most popular videos I ever did was a series of videos that I did because I had somebody on the inside at Hobbico when they owned Revell of what was going on when Revell went bankrupt, or Hobbico went bankrupt and took Revell with it. And there's a lot of people who were like, "Oh, Revell's gone; it's never coming back. This is it. They sold the molds; they're melting them into refrigerators and Kias, and we're all going to die." And it's like, no, it's not. Here's what the actual situation is, and I thought that was good to have like a fact-based, video series there rather than just rampant speculation. Because that's fun. I love to speculate. Give me a good conspiracy theory, but not helpful.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it is very helpful, especially to like a newbie like me, because you've mentioned you have a 1,400 count stash. If I heard you right,
I'm looking at my scalemates right now. My static model kit collection currently sits at 1,404. So
wow. Mine's growing. I think I'm 45, maybe hitting close to 50. I see how it's addicting, though.
It's very addictive. And the sluggo in the comments. The far left are Chevy Cruzes. That next stack are BMW M3s. Those are BMW 320s with a couple of Ford Sierras mixed into it, and these are mostly Jaguar XJSs, which was a British race car with some BMWs on top of it. Oh, I'm full screen.
Cool.
And I'm
blurry. I almost forgot to do that up until the end there, but very cool. But yeah, I can see where that's going to be valuable, and once you get back to getting new content up there, I'll be checking on it. Because, I don't even know the vintage of a lot of these kits or anything, because I just got back into it, and I really hadn't followed it all the way from, I would say, from 1974 to 2025. I'm clueless what was out there. So a lot of other guys at least kind of kept building throughout their life, or at least maybe got into it when they were in their 40s. So. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit coming up here. And then you just came off of a show where you were the head IPMS judge, right?
Head automotive judge, not the head judge.
Automotive. Okay, well, good. Yeah, and that's what I really care about the most, since we're an automotive channel. But and that was Pittsburgh.
Yep, that is Three Rivers IPMS. That is my home club, and it was we call it Tricon. We're the Three Rivers, so Tricon. And I want to say we're getting close to 40 years of doing that. I haven't been in the club that long, obviously, because I would have joined the club at 8 years old at that point. But no, we had just shy of 400 models total on the table. And then I think what I sent you the other day was, we had 114 automotive entries, which was our highest record so far, which was very interesting because a bunch of the West Virginia guys went to a show in Charleston, and then everybody west of Pittsburgh obviously was in Columbus with you at the Buckeye Scale Classics. So it was impressive to see that many, I guess, local people really show up for that show. But it's the sort of the first show in Pittsburgh, so everyone getting out of the house for their spring dash. It was pretty nice weather over the weekend too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Sorry we missed you down in Columbus. And it's not that I'm not paying attention to you there. I was scrambling around on my desk because I wrote down your facts and figures here, but I somehow misplaced them. But, okay, so you did it's a 1, 2, 3 gold, silver, and bronze type of show, right? And explain about that a little bit about what the awards are.
Sure. Let me see. I have this. I try to find the email I sent you so that I would be able to do that. Where'd it go? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't find it. 114 auto entries. So of the 114, we gave away 6 golds, 21 silvers, 34 bronzes, and then 53 got no awards at all. So that's the thing on there. A lot of people will say open judging is a participation award based contest because instead of being 28 categories, like I don't know how many categories Buckeyes has, but having a whole slew. You have factory stock. Sometimes factory stock split into like pre-64, post-65, and you have hot rods and street rods and customs and racing closed wheel, racing open wheel, all that sort of thing. We do just genres. So there's automotive. Everything goes into it because you're not competing against other modelers. You're competing against a rubric that we've created that we judge from, and the standard to which your model meets that rubric. So you could get 10 golds and or you could get absolutely nothing at all. And a lot of people see that as like, well, everybody gets something. Sometimes some clubs, Sharon, for example, is very generous with their awards, I've found, and we're not so much generous with the awards. In my opinion, if you want a gold in an open judging, that doesn't matter what kind of system that is, because like a lot of the bigger figure shows, they're on open system. AMPS, which is the Armor Modeling Preservation Society, which is obviously all armor stuff, they're on an open judging system. A lot of your European shows are all an open system. If you want a gold, it should win first place in a category-based 1, 2, 3 show. Does it always work out that way? Depends on the crew judging, but that should be the standard, right? If you're getting a first place in a Cleveland IPMS show, that's a 1, 2, 3 contest. If you want to get a first place there, then you should get a gold theoretically at our show.
I see. Okay, and I really appreciate you kind of clarifying that because I was confused. Here, in fact, I'll show you. Let me make myself big here for a second. So if you look at my shelf up there, right above my finger, you'll see a bunch of little award plaques, and those are all gold awards, first place awards from Sharon that I had won, and I was totally confused by that. So you've clarified what that is. So you're competing against a standard, not your fellow builder. So that makes a lot of sense. So I thought it would be fun if we did a little exercise. You up for a little exercise here?
Absolutely. Let me throw the caveat into anybody who's watching this now or watches this back later. I would not do this to somebody if they didn't ask. I don't wander around on the internet looking for models to critique. That's not my gig. Ken has asked me to do this, so just
absolutely. And you won't hurt my feelings unless you just say they all look like crap. So I'm going to switch cameras here, and this is why I had other cars queued up on my bench here. So, okay, so what I have here is a collection of some of my builds, and I'll kind of point them out. So the first one is a 63 Ford Galaxy, and it was my second build when I returned to model building. And this wasn't even a kit. This was a kit that I built, I think, in my 20s. In my 20s, I built one kit. So I guess I built in my teenage years, and then in my 20s I built one, and I did manage to keep that for all these years. So what I did is I busted it all apart and repainted it and rebuilt it, basically. So that's one of my first builds. This is my very first build when I returned back. It's a 57 Fairlane with opening doors. And then I have a 71 Charger kit here that is recreation of a car I had in high school. Exact same color, plum crazy purple, stripes and all that. I got my Foos truck. And I've got my latest build that I just finished the other day, and that's that Mobius 71 Ford. So I've thought it would be kind of fun if we can kind of go through and you can tell me what you're looking for in gold, silver, bronze judging competition. So I'll handle this. I'll put this on full screen, and I'll do whatever you ask of me with the camera so that you can see what you want to see. So
you hear that, folks? I get to do whatever I want to here.
Yeah, let me get the camera. Whatever you want to see, however you would look at it at a contest. I have a flashlight here too.
We don't use
if I needed to do that.
we judge with what we call Mach 1 eyeballs, whatever you can see.
Okay. So you don't pick them up and let them fall apart on the table.
Yeah. First of all, it should be at every IPMS contest. There was a huge controversy with that, with the one that Hanscom attended earlier, where they were picking models up and looking at them. If you want an IPMS judge, at least the IPMS judges we have here in Pittsburgh, you want them to judge the bottom of your model kit, it needs to be on a mirror or it needs to be on some sort of raised display platform. We are not picking that up. I don't care if you even painted the bottom of it. We're not checking for that. I know that that's a thing that was a big automotive model contest shtick through the 80s and 90s. Like, how do you not know what the bottom looks like? I don't care what it looks like. If you want me to see it, display it for me. I'm not picking it up. Same thing goes with the engine. If you leave the hood on, it's being judged as a curbside. That is not a deduction against you. It's not one of those things where like, oh, you didn't have an engine, so we're not going to look at this. But if you want me to see the engine, then you need to take the hood off.
Now, what if I prop them up? Like what I've done is I've got little magnets and prop rods. So when you walk up to my model at a show, the hood will be like that. So would it be judged with a motor at that point?
It would be, yes.
Okay.
We're not taking the hood off anymore. We're not touching the model. You might get it slid around on the table to bring it closer if it's sort of in the middle, but we try to slide it on the entry sheet that you put it on. But we're not touching it unless we need to move it or for a category or something like that. And then from an overall aspect of like judging, you're looking at three things. You're looking at the build quality itself. So are there build errors? Is it sitting on four wheels? Is it got glue blobs all over the place? Are there glue, windshields often get fingerprinted with glue. We all have done that once or twice or 10 times in our lives. We're looking for, are there glue blobs, front bumper, back bumper, stuff like that. We're looking for, if you didn't rechrome the bumpers, did you make any attempt of cleaning up where you cut it off the parts, right? Like every time you cut a bumper off, there's a big white tab where the chrome no longer is. Did you clean that up? Did you clean the parts line up? Seam lines on the body, especially. Some people just don't bother to sand those off sometimes. And, from there, it's finish. What's the overall finish like? Is it smooth? Does it look like a citrus? Has it got a pattern to it? I noticed on this one the trunk's got a little bit of a texture to it, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's it is what it is on that. You can see that it's got a pebbly type of texture to it.
It does.
It's one of your first models back, so you probably weren't sanding out your finishes at that point. So that is what it is. I will, the two things that I will drive me up a wall, and these are not going to ding you completely and totally out of a gold if it was an otherwise outstanding model, but trim your foil at your door lines, because how the hell does that door open otherwise?
Yeah, let's see, did I?
You trimmed it there on the back, but the front of it is not. Or maybe it isn't, and the camera's just not showing it. But that's a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And the same thing goes with decals. If you're putting you're building race cars like I do, or you're building any kind of vehicle where there's a big panel of a decal going on the side, cut your decals on your doors, because how else does the door open at that point?
Right.
And then you have your third sort of wheel. Your third leg is scope of effort. So like building that 57 Fairlane that's in the back there and not making a huge mess out of it when it's a huge mess of a kit. That will be looked at more favorably than obviously just a Tamiya kit that you threw together and did whatever.
Right.
And then like the last part of it is accuracy, because not every judge is going to know every car. Like if you told me the firing order in that engine, I know that engine's not detailed, but the Ford pickup has an engine. If you told me that engine is wired correctly, good for you. I don't care. I don't know. I'm not looking it up.
I see. Okay, so with all that being said, how does this one fall into the category?
It's overall you don't have a lot of errors. You have paint finish issues. You got some glue alignment things here and there. You might, depending on what category, what set of judges you got, you might get a bronze for that, but probably not.
I'm with you there, and that's why I picked it, because I did know there was quite a bit of flaws in it, and it's a learning curve. I agree. I probably would not expect any kind of award for that one. It does roll. It's the only model I have that rolls because I have since learned how dangerous that is.
I was gonna say that makes you're moving that thing around and it's making me nervous. I'm like, it's going on the floor. We're not even gonna review this. It's gonna be in pieces, and it's gonna be the time that James went on Ken's show and destroyed his first model.
Okay, so you mentioned the 57.
I just know that this, because the opening doors and the opening hood and everything about, I've had one of these kits before, and it's one of those kits where it's quite fiddly, I'm sure you built it. Haha.
I can't remember if that flips forward or back.
I think it flips forward, doesn't it?
I need something.
Don't make me break his hood. Help, audience.
I think it actually flips forward.
Say Joe's Rush Shop saying he judged once with a couple of other guys. It was a cool experience. It's one of those things where, like, even if I know a lot of people, I don't want to judge, I don't want to do. It's an experience to do it with a good set of people. That's a whole nother thing with local clubs being what they are. But
okay,
if you want to know what if you want to know what the judges are looking for, then volunteer to judge, because you will find out.
So this one's been sitting a while. I couldn't get that hood open unless I fiddle with it some more. But okay, that's so right. The door does open, but it's very finicky. You gotta lift it and
don't
put it
break
back.
the model, please.
Paint job. So this was my very first airbrush job ever, and that was water-based acrylics. I didn't think it was too bad for a very first time I ever using an airbrush. I didn't sand that out either. Okay, so where would you place this one?
That might, I mean, it's one of the things looking through a camera, right? So, I mean, it's certainly a good contender for a bronze. I have to compliment your foil work. That is something that completely and totally flummoxes most people. And I don't see, like, your foil's even, and there's not big raggedy edges to it and stuff like that. People hate bare metal foil, and I understand why. I mean, I'm a decal guy, so bare metal foil is cool to me. It's fine, but that has good bare metal foil work. The overall finish, while it does have a little texture to it, is smooth. It's glossy. I could see the studio lights in it without it being all distorted. I'm not sure what this little blob is below your door there, but it is what it is.
I think it's a glue blob. Yeah.
Yeah. It wouldn't.
I wasn't real impressed with my copper in there. It was my first foil job ever too.
Yeah, well, that's an excellent job for foil job. You blackwash the grill, you blackwash your hubcaps. So there's some good sort of accuracy to that, where it's not just kit chrome for an acre and a half. So yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, overall, that could probably get you a bronze. It's not a first place model by any stretch of the imagination, but it's all on four wheels, and it's all there. It's what I like to call it's a there model. It's there. It's good.
Yeah, and I would agree. I would not expect to win with that one. So this is a recreation of a car I had in high school. So it's plum crazy, color matched MCW paint. It's my very first vinyl top job. And that was just black Tamiya paint sprayed from a distance to allow it to just kind of go on there flat and dry to try to mimic some texture. I hand did this stripe on the back, which I wasn't real proud of. I couldn't find a decal for it, but my car had that stripe. I had a Super B. even though that is not a Super B stripe, when I bought my car, it had it on there because in 71, who knows what was done, but I bought it in 76, so it had been repainted already. It was a fun car. I built shackles to raise the back end up. Paint progression was better. This one I did not sand either, but I was laying it on a little bit smoother. Yeah, I did not sand this one down. Got some bare metal foil around the wheel openings. Get the hood open. No wiring or anything in there. So in my mind, this progressed, although I do have a glue, something happened with my glue there on the windshield there. See that? Yuck, I hate that. Anyways, so I was starting to get proud of my building when this one came around. I know it's not perfect, but my pride was getting there. I was starting to think to myself that I'm beginning to be a contender. So tell me what you think.
So for a first vinyl top attempt, that's very, very good. The paint quality overall is nice. I mean, for not being polished out, that's pretty smooth overall. So you've lost the texture in the paint, so that's awesome. The things that I see, obviously, the stripe around the trunk is kind of janky with its edges. It is what it is. You painted it, and it's I'm sure if you taped it off and repainted it today, it would be much smoother than that. And then this is where you start getting into being nitpicky, right? So this is a good model overall. If you're going to start thinking about okay, so you want to judge something based on what's being displayed and not look for flaws straight out of the gate. So overall, this is a really nice model. That windshield blob, unfortunately, that's going to ding you. The stripe at the back not being straight, going to ding you. Under the hood, if you display that with the hood off, you don't have the vents painted, you don't have the wipers painted. It's little things like that. So if you didn't, let me put it this way: if you didn't have that blob on the windshield, I'd give you a silver. Well, you do have the wipers painted. Okay, yeah. Well, you don't have the
not very good. I couldn't remember.
Let's say just little. I like to call it the finishing touches, right? You get a good solid model built, and then you start looking at okay, so what are those last little bits of building that make that a contest winning model rather than being a very nice model on your shelf that you're proud of.
Right. And I have had this at a couple shows, and it's won nothing. So, and Slugo, yeah, I know it's well, like James said at the beginning, wouldn't want to take somebody else's builds and critique them without their permission. So I set this up on purpose, and I pretty much expected what he's saying about them because this is a progression. As I'm getting better and better and better. So this one is probably 10 times better than that one, but doesn't mean it's a winner yet. Maybe a bronze, right? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe a bronze. You probably get a bronze where it stands. If you, like I said, if you didn't have that blob on the windshield, I'd give you a silver for it.
Okay, let me get okay.
And yes, I understand that why NNLs are gaining popularity and why people like NNLs. I mean, I go to NNL East. If you want to meet me and Ken in New Jersey, we'll both be there. But building for competition versus building for display are two different things, obviously.
Right. And I'm not building for competition. I mean, sure, everybody's proud if you come home with an award. But I do like sharing my work and showing them off, because it's a whole lot more fun than letting them sit on a shelf doing nothing in a basement,
Right. I think you just have to have well, even me. I mean, I told you, the stuff we'll look at later has all won awards, but I don't go to shows thinking I'm going to win anything ever. That's not why I'm there. I'm there to hang with the people. Well, I sound like I'm some sort of rich person there. Hang with people and buy stuff. Didn't get 1,400 model kits by not buying stuff.
So this is an example where I started sanding, but was still afraid to get too far. So I'm still not 100% flat, but I did sand and polish this one. I can just tell that as I progressed, that is not as good as I am now. Okay, and then engine, it's pretty much box stock except for it's my first wired ignition or wired engine. So
I know there will be some people out there that will give you crap because you split the distributor like in half there and put all one half to one side, one half the other. But again, where from the standpoint that I come from, I'm judging on what you're giving me, what you're showing me. I don't care how it's wired. Is it wired cleanly? Is it wired, are the wires in scale? People, I'm sure, can all remember one model or another they've seen that someone has used what would basically scale out the like garden hose if it was blown up to one to one scale. Got nice wash on your brakes. I like that. I like the fact the spokes are body color. Missing a door handle. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I lost that at a show.
Goddamn shows destroying models.
Yep. So I've improved my packing method, and I've been pinning ever since. I don't think I pinned that one, even though it does look like I drilled it. So, yep, I just lost it. Now this one has one. It did win it won a gold at Sharon, and then in Cleveland it won. First place at IPMS.
Yeah, I will concur with those judges. That's a very nice model.
Oh, thank you. And the wire distributor, I have since started doing the firing order. That gets tricky. You can lose count. I usually get one off. So if these things did run, they'll probably have a little bit of a miss because I'm off a little. So this is my latest build here, the Mobius Ford. So now, if you can see, I think I've gotten a lot flatter on my sanding and polishing. Probably still not perfect, but it definitely improves the gloss. Bare metal foil under the paint here for the Ford emblems.
Nice.
And because I had, I talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show, but because I had Rod on, he inspired me to get a little more detailed here. So notice that distributor? That is firing order, correct?
There you go.
Voltage regulator is not wired correct. I got wires just leading off. One goes to the starter, and one goes from the battery to it. So I know those two are correct. I wasn't sure where everything else went. So they go to the firewall.
Again, I'm not judging you on accuracy. I have no idea where it goes either.
Yeah. And then the windshield washer is plumbed, and you can barely see it, but it goes up to the cowl area there. Okay, then interior. Let me get a light on there. Decals that come with the kit, which is pretty cool. The plaid decals.
Yeah, Sean did a really good job with the decals on that kit.
I hacked the windshield. I made a mistake on how that windshield goes in. That should have went in from the inside and fit to the outside somehow. But I glued it to the inside. And then when I went to fit the interior in the dashboard, it would not fit. So I couldn't break my glue seam. So I just ground the windshield to make it work. So I learned a lesson there. But aftermarket wheels. Let me ask you that too, because none of these have. Well, this is the first one of what I'm showing you that has something that's 3D printed. But some of my other builds, like the Camaro, the USAC, and my Starliner and my 40 Ford, all have like 3D printed engines in great detail. So does that influence the voting or the scoring on in this category, or does it not matter?
With open judging, it wouldn't matter because there's no like box stock category, so there wouldn't be, again, you're not being judged against other modelers, so you have all that stuff. It's very cool, but if you didn't have all that stuff, also very cool. So
okay, so this one hasn't been to a show yet.
very funny, Kevin.
This one hasn't been to a show yet. I'll probably be taking it to NNL East, but then again, from what I hear about that show, I may not.
Nah, NNL East and all the NNLs. That's where you take all of these because it's display. Nobody's judging you on anything. I've never had anyone say anything mean to anyone. I'm sure somebody said something mean to somebody somewhere, but never heard anyone say anything mean to anyone. I mean, the reason why NNL East gets 1,500 plus models on the table is because people bring everything that they built. I've seen people do the whole thing, like every '69 Camaro and every factory color it ever came in. And are all the models spectacular? Not great, but they cover what something does. And I certainly appreciate the scope of effort of someone who's willing to actually build that many '69 Camaros. I would say fix the foil in the upper corner of the windshield there before you take it anywhere. But other than that,
well, then I think I screwed up when
NNL is not competitive. It's not competitive. The Buckeye guys, like I have nothing against them. I know of a whole slew of people at that club, but Buckeye, NNL South, the Southern National stuff like that. People who do the top 10, top 15 thing. That's not how an NNL works. An NNL works like it does in New Jersey. You have a best of show, you have a people's choice, you have like a farthest traveled, and you have like a junior. If there are enough awards to, there are any juniors, you give away best junior. NNL in Toledo, I don't know if you ever went when it was in Toledo back in the day, because it stopped in 2019. But way back when it used to be at the Lucas County Fairgrounds, great building. People in the chat remember the Lucas County Fairgrounds NNLs, but like that show was that they had a couple of awards after members that had passed. There was like a best engineering scratchable kind of award, stuff like that. But like that was it. And it was all people's choice kind of voting too. And I know that that's how the top 10s and top 15s work, is people's choice kind of stuff. But that veered away from what an NNL was. NNL was hang out with your friends, shoot the crap, buy some stuff. NNL Toledo, the show was 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on a Saturday, and then the vending thing was open on Sunday the next day, so you couldn't actually buy anything there unless you bought table rights, which then you're paying like $45 to go in and buy stuff early. I don't know that adding top 10 awards is cool. Like I totally get, like you're recognizing more people, but then you're sort of changing the NNL from what it was. Like it was an unjudged show. It has nothing to. You just come and hang out. And now it's like, oh yeah, well, except these 10 models are even better than the rest. I'm like, I don't know. That takes away the flavor of the NNL to me. I like just give me the best of show that the club likes, the People's Choice, and the theme awards. Right? There'll be a best 63 this year. And then I think the internet thing is the Barracuda and the new Nomad wagon from AMT. There'll be a People's Choice award.
Yeah. Well, I can see the benefits from both sides, really, and I have been to both shows now, so I'm getting a little bit more of an understanding. And IPMS show, do they show the names on the entries by the car? Like when I went to Cleveland, your name did not show. So is that the norm?
We do not either. Probably in an open competition, that's not that big a deal. But I understand why names are hidden in otherwise, because the point there is to try to keep the whole concept of like improprietary away. Like, I don't know who built this. I think you know who your friends' models are, especially if you travel to shows a lot of times. The same people come to the same shows, and you sort of get this to know their style of what they build a lot of, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Bob's model. I know what Bob's models look like. He always builds 1/32 scale F1 cars, and it's like that's that's Bob's cars because he doesn't build anything else. So I know what that is.
Yeah.
But, it's just sort of like keeping that favoritism out of it, right? The judges don't know who these people are if we don't show the names. Open contest, you're not judging against anybody, so it's not that big of a deal. But in the 1, 2, 3 thing, in fairness, is it fair or not? I totally agree with anybody who's going to say they don't like judge contests because they had a bad experience at the show or something like that. Just because A, some clubs run lousy shows, it's just the way it is, and B, it's an any given Sunday sort of thing. Like I have the models we'll look at here have won categories. They've won golds, silvers at open shows, things like that. And then I've gone to other shows and they've gotten absolutely nothing. So like
speaking of,
yeah. So this right here is a 2014 McLaren MP412C, because McLaren has to have lots of numbers and letters and everything they built. If you ever look at F1 cars, they're MP4/4s. So this is a entry from Blitzingen Racing, which is out of Belgium. This was run in the 2014 4 Hours of Monza race. This was the first competitive model that I built coming back into the hobby after getting back into it like in 2006, 2007 point. Studio 27 decals, Studio 27 carbon fiber. So all the carbon fiber on the back of the car here, which is really prominent, plus around the gas filler doors. That's all decals that are pre-cut. They're a complete and total pain in the butt to use because they're like multi-layer printing and they don't like to conform or fold or anything. I think that back vent sort of behind the tire there took like an hour to get all that on there because heat.
No kidding. Yeah.
And around the corners of that stuff. This did win like a first place here in Pittsburgh. It's won second place in Zanesville only because John Brolin, who's a really good friend of mine down in West Virginia, did a F1 car that he completely and totally detailed as like 1/12 scale. He won best of show with that thing everywhere he went that year. And I was like, I'm not building any more race cars this year if we're going to tour around with John Brolin's $1,200 F1 kit. And then this here is Google Gemini doing its thing. I said, took the picture of the front end of the car, and I said, use image racing at Monza, and this is what it gave me. I couldn't tell you if that's Monza's track or if it just made it up, but it looks cool.
It is. It's fun playing with that, isn't it?
For some reason, recolored the spoiler orange, but it's not in real life. But it kept the rest of it, and you can actually read the words here. So that's one of the things like AI. When you ask it to make an image, it usually makes word salad out of the letters because it can't spell. But
right.
This is the back end of the most recent one I've built. I really don't like the way that bumper stripe is. It's not quite as smooth as it should be. But this is a 2001 BMW 320i. This is a mouthful, folks. Hang on. So this is the European Touring Car Championship Super Production 2000 class winning car. Peter Cox, spelled with a K, get your mind out of the gutter, drove this car and won the class championship with this BMW that year. It is a new models kit with their PE detail upset, which is on the brakes and stuff like that, which I don't think you can really see in these pictures. The wheels are 3D printed aftermarket wheels to correct the kit wheels because kit wheels are not right. And decals and kit wheels are from a company called LB Productions, which is out of Hong Kong.
It's a nice build.
Yeah, the windows are all nicely masked because the kit comes with window masks. The kit also comes with the side stripes and the front corners of the black arc decals, but the middle part is not because this was designed to be a Marlboro sponsored car, and the Marlboro logo comes down into the back bumper, so that they didn't include all those decals. So the hand painted part of it stinks on ice. This is just to me a TS26 decanted decal, and the whole roof is a decal, and then the wheels are all clad, not all clad, but AK Extreme steel.
Nice.
This is one of first place, second place, a couple things here and there, and then this particular car was built as it raced at Silverstone in a round of the European Touring Car Championship. So again, I said, put this car on the racetrack racing at Silverstone, and it gave me this. Now that is Silverstone, although I think technically we're duplicating the image here because we wouldn't wouldn't technically be racing in both directions at the same time like that, but Silverstone's grandstands, I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's a cool picture though. Lots of action going on there.
I could put a driver in it and everything. I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. I wish they would put drivers in all model kits. It should be a must.
This
nice.
This doohickey here. This is a 24-hour build that I did. Probably, I don't know. I want to say before I started working at FedEx, so it would have been like 6 or 7 years ago. This is a Hasegawa BMW 318i. Livery is for the 1993 Gia Race of Macau, which is now the FIA Macau GT Cup. It's a street race on the streets of Macau. It's a really cool thing. You're going on YouTube and watch the races from that. It's going way too fast around tracks, many big accidents. This is built completely box stock. It's got Studio 27 decals here. The hood has a blank box because when Studio 27 did these decals, they didn't include enough numbers. There's 4 placards and they only give me 3 numbers. The hood decal is sort of split. Like the fender is one piece, the hood is another. I got most of this done in the 24 hours, but if you flip to the next picture where it goes around the back, these side stripes that go around the back are all one piece from the door all the way around the corner, and then there's like a fork that splits around the tail end of the back. Those didn't they are also not quite the right shape. So if you look down below the gas tank, there's a little bit of white sticking out where there shouldn't be because they're not quite the right size and shape. I have new decals to do this again. I also got super glue on the side window on that one. That was a good time. But it's 24-hour build. The whole point is trying to crash it out and be done with it. This is a BMW Z4. There's lots of BMWs here, right? But this is a BMW Z4. It's a Fujimi kit, Studio 27 decal, Studio 27 carbon fiber. So this is built out of the box other than changing the livery for it. Thanks to, I want to say it's Rob Smory out of the Columbus Club for sending me this shot of it that they took when they did one of those. We want to take a picture of your model things. So that's why this is professional, not outside in some gravel. It's a very nice build. It's box stock, 60 pieces. These Fujimi kits have like suspension components made out of what looks like industrial I-beams. There's no detail to it all. It just sort of holds the wheels on. So it goes real fast. And yes, I sent this to Ken saying that because this was included in the last official Scale Auto contest annual. I know that the magazine still exists. It's done by Fine Scale Modeler now, and I think it's just called Cars or something like that. And this was the last official Scale. Always one of my goals in life was to get in that Scale Auto in some form or fashion. And this was the last model contest. This was Columbus in 2020 before COVID shut the world down. So I got in the last magazine at the last contest held in 2020.
Yeah, nice. I had a Z4. It didn't quite look like that, but I owned one. Nice little sports car. Underpowered, but very nice. Very nice. In fact, I was in the which magazine put out the whole annual contest awards last year for 2025? I can't remember.
It's Fine Scale Modeler.
It was a Fine Scale.
Yeah, when everybody got sold and they shut Scale Auto down, Scale Auto got merged into Fine Scale Modeler. So they're the ones that are still doing it.
Okay, yeah, because my that Foose truck was in there too, so I was proud of it. I would have never known either. Somebody was showing it on one of their channels, going page by page, and I'm like, "Hey, there's my truck." So,
well, that's how I found out about that. I didn't buy the magazine. Somebody was like, "Dude, your BMW's in Scale Auto." I'm like, "What?" Like, yeah. Like I still don't actually have a copy of that. I just have the picture they took of it.
Hey, let's do one more trivia car so I could get rid of this file and next week do a different vintage. You up for it?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay. Let's see if you
can
pick
the answers to the other thing. I couldn't type fast enough.
It's not too easy. It's another 1969, so that's the only tip I gave you. I'll restrain
my comment here. I know what this is.
Yeah. It says a right ike on the front fender there. Yeah, if you guys can't get this one right, you sucked at taking a test in school with crib notes. Okay. So anyways, I appreciate you taking me through all the voting and judging information there, because that does clarify it for me and gives me an idea of what they're really looking for. Barracuda, there you go, guys. Yep. I'm making them too easy. I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna go out of my way to make them a little more difficult. I think I'm gonna get into the 50s next time around too. So,
yeah, I prefer the open judging system over 1, 2, 3, on the basis that every model gets looked at. If you're doing, I judge at IPMS Nationals, which is like the big IPMS shows, 4 days. It'll be in Fort Wayne in August, and you look for, you can't sweep classes in the Nationals, so you look through the models and see who built what, right? Some people, you put 2 models in the same category. Well, then you're looking at which one of those 2 models is the best one, because you can't judge them both. But you're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, which one of these are like the top 2 or 3 to 5 models in this category? And you don't look at some stuff, because look, we've all been to a model contest. We all know that people build at different levels, and that's totally fine. And I don't discourage people from showing even a competitive contest. Get out there, meet people, put stuff on the table, show your work, be proud of what you do. Don't listen to dumbasses like me or criticizing your models. But you very quickly decide, like, well, that stuff's, that's not great. Like, if you put that Galaxy on there, okay, cool, but it's not in contention, so we're not going to really look at it. In an open judging system, because everything's being judged against the rubric of build and finish and all that, I'm going to take the time to look at that model. I'm going to judge that model individually. And if you're somebody who, like me, you just saw us builds a bunch of foreign race cars, I probably put the entire chat to sleep because it's a whole bunch of foreign race cars. But I know at an open judging system, my models will get judged fairly. In a 1, 2, 3 contest, if it's in there with a bunch of NASCAR stuff, nobody cares about a BMW Z4. Might as well throw it on the floor and step on it. And it's unfortunate, but it's also the fact of where the demographics of modeling is, right? It's older guys who grew up in the muscle car area, and that's what they like. And we just had somebody here on YouTube the other day complain that one of their videos about one of the models they were building didn't perform very well. I said, well, look at what the subject matter is. It's a Japanese model, Japanese car. Like, YouTube is hot rods, muscle cars, dragsters. That's great. I love watching people build them. The people who build them really well, your Clay Kemps and all those people, like, love that work. But that's what the audience is. Like, look at your demographics. It's 55 plus males. And those people like a certain thing. So you got when you build stuff like that, you got to build it for yourself and make the videos for yourself, and just deal with the, you can't watch your numbers on YouTube anyway. If you do, you drive yourself crazy. Oh, I lost lost 3. Oh, I used to tell my wife all the time, every time I did a video that wasn't me talking like this all the time, I'd lose subscribers because people tuned in to watch the news and not me building models. And then if I was too opinionated about building models, then I'd lose subscribers because, he's bashing such and such a model kit. So you can't win.
You can't make everybody happy.
Yeah, exactly.
But our friend Mr. Tester did win a top 10 with a foreign car in Columbus.
Then he left before he collected. I still say
he did.
That's been my joke with Sean and everybody in that club. I said, don't you dare send him that award. He left.
And Sean won one too.
Yeah, with Sean did that's crazy.
That off-road Charger.
If you want to see Sean will have two builds on the table in an Elise. One will be the Dune Charger, which is what he's calling that off-road Charger, and then he is building a Jeep Comanche project. Oh, I guess I left them with another guy who's a guest on our show, and they're both doing different style builds. And I've seen previews of Sean's work on that Jeep, and it's another insanity. Sean is probably one of the most underrated modelers out there for just the creativity that he puts into things. That travel all is ridiculous with the canoes and all that. To have that just be like a 3D printed file, and then he made it into it's one of those things that borderlines on like work of art. When you start getting into people that are that talented, it's not just I built a miniature replica of a Porsche. It's like, no, this is almost an artwork at that point.
Yeah. Well, and then he's way too modest too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I find the better the builder, the more modest they are. which is it's sort of interesting. But yeah, like he's like, oh, mine's nothing special. They don't even have wired ignitions, and they don't have, he just qualifies himself with all these points, and yet you're looking at a work of art. So go figure, right?
Let's say Sean, I don't know if he had it there or not. It's been around a couple of times, so it may have not been there. But he won the Ford Bronco theme at NNL East like 2 years ago with the Bronco he built. He's got top 10 with the Dune Charger. I keep telling him to bring the Travelall to Fort Wayne because International Harvester is one of the themes at Fort Wayne because that's where International Harvester is from. Like oh no. It's like you keep winning all these like big sort of prestigious type awards where people like your stuff. Deal with that.
Right.
He's very, 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 very modest. And that's true. So some of the best builders you're going to run into are some of the nicest people that you run into. Clay Kemp, gem of a human being, and builds crazy, phenomenal work. That's split in half for Mustang that he has is next level work, and couldn't be a nicer guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the whole experience, I love going to the shows. Like when I was doing my Columbus recap on video, I said it's a dopamine high for me on so many levels. You got your vendors where you could buy all this stuff like I just bought that you don't see every day. You got all your buddies that are content creators are gathered there. We had James there, and we had Grandpa Mark, and we had Craig Woods from Craig's Corner there, and I'm sure there were some others. So that's a blast. And then just geeking out with all your other model building hobbyists and fans of your show or whatever. I mean, the whole thing's a big high for me. I love the show season. Hey guys, if anybody has any questions about judging, let's get the questions up there. I'll put them on the screen and, let James take a look at those.
Yeah, scale model experiment there. Yeah, James, that guy who left Columbus early and didn't collect the award. I did see a comment back here. It was Tony said, not true, James. Models in a class are judged on their merits, not one car against another. Yeah, I guess, but judges have bias. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I've been building since I was 8. I've been in contests from when I was a junior. Like I've done this circuit enough times that I know that that's how things really work.
Right.
It shouldn't be. And there are probably contests out there that don't. But broad painting, brush house, Wagner power painting here it is.
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy showing my stuff, and of course, if you have fans of a YouTube channel, like I got some pretty loyal fans there, so they like to see my builds in person or whatnot. But I can see both sides of the whole judging category there. I can see some judges being partial to their buddies. I can see People's Choice Awards being skewed by somebody just loving the subject matter versus the quality of the build. If you just got a subject like, wow, that's really a cool subject, they win the People's Choice, even if it's a crappy build.
Yes, we have a gentleman who is. I used to be in a club called South Hills Model Association. We were a car club, and we did a show that was People's Choice, and we gave away a first in each category. That was it. You got a first place, and you got absolutely nothing, which was great because the club didn't want to judge shows anymore, which is fine. And a lot of people said, well, aren't you afraid of people like stuffing the ballot? I'm like, if you want to bring 40 of your friends in and have them pay $5 each to get in through the front door, the club made money on the show. We get to rent the hall next year. Do whatever you need to. If you're that into getting a $5 piece of wood, I don't know what to tell you. Run your family and friends through and win your People's Choice Award. I think all of us, you have a very nice display there, Ken, but I'm assuming over the years, should nothing befall you, that you're going to have 10 times as many awards back there. And at some point, some of them mean more than others, and then the rest of them go into a tub in your basement someplace. And I know a lot of people will take the plaque ones and they'll pull the plaque off and they'll use the plaque base for like a base to put their cars on and stuff like that. If you do this long enough and you're proficient at it, you win a bunch of awards, and then what do you do with them all?
Right.
It becomes a thing. I have most of mine still. I have like trophies from like my little league soccer career when I was 8 because my mom saved them. But like, what am I doing with these things? They just hang out in my house and take up space. Do GTO judges get preferential treatment? Well, you know, if you build a nice 69, you might get a first place in it'd be like replica stock 1966 and newer.
Yeah. Now, Chet, yep. that says it all right there. Exactly. You're right. That's what it's all about. I mean, you know, because you said it earlier, James, about it not being a very social hobby, because you're right. You're down in your basement building. I'm down in my basement building. But you get to that show where you're 500 other guys who just build cars and everybody's just talking the hobby. That's the coolest part of it all.
I'm saying, and being on YouTube has definitely made me like more social at shows. I don't know what your experience were with the first shows you sort of went to before you became internet famous, like we all have on these YouTube channels. But like, you don't talk to anybody. You just sort of wander around. You might ask somebody a question if you see people collected around a model and you realize the guy who built it is there. But like, it wasn't like 10, 15 years ago, was not a social experience. It was a competitive experience. You went there to win. And I think that's a lot of people's, you know, sort of impressions of shows are still based in. They went to one 20 years ago. They had a lousy experience because something happened or somebody said something bad about their model kit. Let's face it, being that we are all in our basements, we tend to be very loud and opinionated. And so you said, oh my God, can you believe that? Right in front of the guy who built it. Oh, now that guy doesn't want to come back to the show anymore. Like it was when we do judging, it's very much because we leave the room open. It's like, keep your voices low, talk to each other. We're critiquing something that somebody spent 40 hours of their time, 80 hours of their time on, and you don't know if they're right behind you when you make that snide comment. And like, yeah, I will say 1-to-1s in 1/24th. They're pretty in parallel.
Yeah. So, hey, let's talk about that stash a little bit.
All right.
The first question is why such a big stash? What happened?
Well, I don't have a mortgage payment, Ken. See, that's the problem. I am probably one of the few people that can do I started building when I was 8, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then girls and cars and motorcycles and blah, blah, blah. I didn't ever get rid of my stash. I've always sort of drug it around behind me. So coming back into the hobby in 2007, I already had 150 models because I schemed my mother with the greatest scam ever when I was in like high school. She decided that, you know, I'm a person who, and I don't want to make myself sound like so important, but like if I'm interested in a subject in school, I don't have to study for it. You could just feed me the information. I can regurgitate it back. You get A's in the classes. If I'm not interested in something, which was math for me, couldn't care less. Didn't do my homework. I flunked algebra because I didn't do the homework for it. And so my mother was bound to determine that I was not going to flunk out of high school, which I didn't do anyway. And her thing was, every A you get on your report card, I will buy you a model kit. And back in 1990s, if you remember that far back, ladies and gentlemen, schools were on like 9 weeks. So there were 4 of those in a year. So that meant every 9 weeks, I'd have 3 or 4 A's. So every 9 weeks, you know, my mom invested, back then we were talking $5 to $7 a model kit, 4 models. So through the years, now I've got 16 models. Now let's roll that through, high school. And now I have 100 models because I've scammed my mother into this great profit center. Plus, money from mowing yards and all the stuff that we all did when we were younger. And that's how I wound up with so much stuff. And then I moved here, finally got it all out of storage, brought it here. And why is it so big? Because it can be, I guess, is the best answer for that. Ken and I were talking off air, and my camera's not the greatest in focus right now, but like all of this up here behind me is all Lamborghinis. And then slightly off camera, but people have seen it before, it's all Ferraris. And then we talked about this back here, it's all race cars from top to bottom. Group C, Le Mans stuff, Group A, touring cars, more Group C stuff down there. If I took you around the room, but I'm not going to make everybody seasick, all of my domestic, yes, I have regular, let's see if we can do this without killing everybody. if we go over here, up on top, if we can get the camera to focus, there we go, is all my domestic kits. It's double-sided, so there's more of these on the other side because they're skinny enough. So yes, I don't have just Japanese kits. I have domestic kits. And then as we go down here, this is all of my alpha model stuff, or part of it. And these are, again, I told Ken earlier, these are cars that I will never own in my entire life. I'm not going to buy a Ferrari F8 Tributo. I'm not going to buy a Ferrari Roma or a A6 Advanced Audi wagon. And it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I make a nice living at work, but it's not going to be financially in my future, mortgage payment or not. And so, yeah, my downfall was getting into directly importing stuff from Japan to myself, because I like a lot of that stuff. Nissan GTRs and Mitsubishi Evos and the Subarus, and I could buy it. I could afford it prior to all this tariff nonsense. It didn't cost that much to import it. And now I'm where I'm at. I probably have sold off 400 model kits, and still I'm at 1,400. It goes up. I get to a certain point, like, ooh, Jesus, that's a lot of model kits, and I sell them off. And then I get back up. Right now we're at that back up, and I'll probably end up selling a bunch of stuff here without too many more delays, because the joke is, right, it's best trophy you've ever placed in. No, it's that second, Kevin. It's the old joke is my stash is stable, which is stash total of above expected or beyond life expectancy. My stash is stable.
But you're not really building, are you?
I build a lot, Ken. I build a lot. I don't finish anything. That is my problem. I am. It's. They often say, and people could probably relate to this, often say that anxiety is thinking people think what you think of yourself. And so we are all our own worst critics about our builds. We know single thing that went wrong with that model along the way, or everything that could go wrong with that model along the way. If you look at the two-tone on that truck, I don't know where you... yeah, everybody also often says that they're just waiting for the estate sale. But like a two-tone on that, like, that's very, very easy to mess up a two-tone. Like, it's easier not to paint it than it is to paint it. Like, and I have a bunch of stuff that I probably, if I just painted the bodies of a bunch of things I have 3/4 of the way done, I could probably turn out 12 models this year. But it's that last little step of like, I run my mouth on YouTube a lot. I now do a podcast about cars. I go to all these shows. And if I'm the guy putting down the junk on the table, people are like, Jesus Christ, guy runs his mouth a lot, but his stuff sucks. So yeah. That sort of paralyzes me a bit. I'll admit to that. I am, I'm afraid that people will see what I see when I look at my builds. I can tell you every single thing is wrong with that McLaren, and that McLaren is one of my best friend's favorite cars. Constantly tries to buy it off me. Like, when I get tired of it, I'll give it to you. I'm not going to sell you a model kit,
Right. And that's where being humble is a good thing. That's the one thing I don't understand, though. Like, I butcher some of my builds, and every build I do, I know that point, because every one I come out with is like, this is going to be my best yet. It's going to be my best. But you always know at some point during the build where you lost that. Like, nope, this is not going to be the best. But I always forge ahead. I do not put them in a box and put them aside. I don't shelve them. I just plow on and I fix them. Like that windshield on that truck. I grounded and fixed it and made it work. The glue on the windshield, okay, I learned my lesson, but I built this thing. I'm not quitting. So I have yet to shelve a build. Now, there's times where you're building for your channel and, like, oh, I'm going to be a little embarrassed featuring this because it's kind of crappy, but that's the way I roll. I don't shelve anything, but I understand if you want to, for sure. But
I have, obviously, and I can't remember there's a Japanese gentleman who was talking about like clutter and stuff like that, and it was basically that every undone task speaks to you, and it's like, yeah, I have so much of this stuff, like. It's ping, 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 ping. Oh, I want to build this. I want to build that. I want to build this. I want to build that. And then you end up building nothing because what exactly is I'm giving myself a finishing flood kit. Yeah, James, I have bore witness to that. But like, if I want to build that Lamborghini Aventador, is it going to hold my attention long enough to finish it? I traditionally, when I'm building, which I haven't done a lot of in the last 5 years because FedEx ruined my life as far as having any free time. But I would have like 5 builds going, and something about one of those builds will pull my attention in, and that'll be what I finish. Like that BMW 320, I have like 2 or 3 other things that I started building prior to FedEx when that build was started that I started. They're part of the way along, but that 320 for some reason, something about building it, it was one of the first kits I've done where I finished it and I looked around and I was like, are there more parts to this? I feel like I forgot something. It was such a seamless build. It didn't fight with it at all. That it seemed like there's got to be something I forgot to put in it that would have kept the body from going on the chassis or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are sweet. Those are the fun ones. Like, I got to admit, like me, I'm trying to outdo myself. And of course, I'm trying to bring my followers along, the people that are just getting into the hobby. I'm trying to show them how I'm progressing and so they can progress. So I'm getting more and more into 3D and I'm getting more and more into the details. But I tell you what, I like to slam out a build like I used to when I was a kid. I mean, my favorite build is a build that I could build in 5 days. Nothing fancy, no aftermarket parts, and making nothing fit. That's just more pleasurable to me to do. The other one is competitive, challenging to yourself, so that's why I do them. But yeah, I like the quick, easy build. Yeah, I wouldn't mind all curbsides, to be honest.
I was gonna say I've often people. Do you build for competition? You do all these shows. I don't build for competition. I build something, and if it starts developing in a way that it's gonna look really, really good, okay, this is gonna probably be a show. This is gonna be a show model when it's all said and done with. There's stuff in
Thanks,
my
Kevin.
stash. Yeah, I agree, Kevin. It's
You.
I think you've mentioned it before, and we're not going to sit here and toot Ken's horn too hard because he can do that on his own time. But you've gone into, you talked about this on our show, where you're coming at it from sort of a not a newbie, but a beginner, intermediate modeler, and you're taking people on the steps that aren't covered by other people. It drives me absolutely crazy when people build a model and it's like, so I did this, poof, it's done. Well, what the hell happened in the middle of all that? Like,
Right.
I've learned nothing other than, you can make 2 10-minute YouTube videos. Okay,
Right.
great. It looks great when it's done and cool, but what'd you do in the beginning? Or people who do like a build review, like they built the model, not like an open box review. And then it's like, yes, I built this thing and it turned out okay, and this, that, and the other thing. Like, well, what were the problems with that kit? I have one of those. Was there a problem with it? Did stuff not fit? And I've had this conversation with Mr. Tester about that before. I don't want to be seen as slagging the model company or beating up the kit or whatever. Like, you don't have to beat it up. Just be honest about it. You paid money for it. If you didn't, I know the sponsorship thing on YouTube gets a whole bunch of static sometimes. But if you paid for that kit yourself and you built that kit yourself, you should be able to go out there and say, if you're going to build this kit, the hood doesn't fit. I had to do this, this, and this to achieve this finish. The glass on those Mobius kits across the spectrum of them are notorious for not fitting. So I had to do this, this, and this to get it to fit, especially in like the Pontiacs, those Venturas and stuff like that. Watch that. This glass does not want to fit at all. It's too big for the window opening. And you have to grind the opening and the window and try not to screw the window up while you're doing it. I had a whole conversation with Bob Downey, again, another great builder, about the fight that he had to get the windshield into his. Let's see, what came out first? It was the Ventura, right? There's the Catalina and a Ventura. I have them both somewhere up there. Yeah, the Ventura. And then you think about a Mobius kit, right? You open it and you'll never get all the pieces back in the box. So don't open the box until you're
Well, it's funny. The guy at the show, the vendor, he was cleaning out some stash, and he probably about 20 minutes, I kept trying to move along, and he just was explaining all the nuances about the kit, and I appreciated it, but I told him, I says, this is going to my stash. I don't know. It might be a year or two before it gets built, so I'm not going to remember a thing you're telling me, but at least I have fair warning to be aware there's going to be issues.
Ken asked me about the oldest things that I have in my stash before we go too far and I forget. So the 4 oldest kits I have in my stash, which will make everybody happy, right? Because these aren't import kits. I have a old Johan 60 DeSoto Adventurer.
Ooh.
Now, these are the golden oldie or USA oldie kits, the ones that were done in the 80s, back when the tooling was not the greatest. This is in a awesome light green, because why wouldn't it be?
Cool.
When Seville, which was another automotive manufacturer, people don't realize that Johann's got its start as being a car parts manufacturer, and Seville did the same thing. They were a car parts manufacturer outside of Detroit, and so the end of Johan and Seville, they ran these kits in whatever plastic they had left over from making stuff. So that's why if you buy some of these kits, and sometimes they're mixed match colors, and they're weird colors, they don't match the box art. It's because, well, that was what they had left over from running some interior parts for GM. I have this. The DeSoto I don't really care about, but I have a thing for Chrysler letter cars. So the 62 Chrysler 300, which is molded in this awful seafoam green.
Can you remember what you paid for those Johans?
I bought these Johans probably 10 plus years ago, and I think I paid $40 a piece for each one.
Okay. Yeah, well, they were already vintage then. Yeah.
Yeah, they were. And, the whole kit's molded in this whole kit's molded in this awful shade of green. The tooling definitely shows this age in some places. That DeSoto, the mold lines on it stand out about 1/4 of an inch, but nobody else is making a DeSoto Adventurer, so that is what it is. This kit, I bought a bunch of vintage kits, and this was included in it, and I try to be careful with this so the box doesn't fall apart. But here's a 1975 issue AMT Ford Pinto.
I think I built that when I was a kid. Yeah.
Mini muscle car, ladies and gentlemen. That's some sales from AMT for you. Calling this a muscle car. I'm not even sure this thing comes with I guess technically you build this into a turbocharged, ground-hugging, mag-wheeled, wide-tired, spoiler, mean muscle machine. So never let the guys in Troy, Michigan get a hold of your cash, because they will sell it to you.
If I'm not mistaken, a Pinto only came in a 4-cylinder factory.
I kept this because this is the Pinto that has this grill to it. The older style grill, like the AMT Pinto that gets reissued now, has the later grill to it. It got turned in from this into that later one. And the only way to get one is that older one. And then my piece de resistance, my oldest kit and most valuable, and one I spent the absolute most money on, is this original AMT 67 Coupe.
Ooh,
this
nice.
Is, the original 67 shoebox, and it's got the original faded instructions, and minus the fact that it's not wrapped in plastic, it's complete and started. So I figure by the time I get around to doing this, that'll be about the time that AMT clones this and really reissues it again. I think I paid $110.
Oh, Joe heard that Joanne used to also make plastic picnic utensils, so they were famous for using weird colors. So they probably just used the same plastics.
Yeah, exactly. Johan they made plastic everything. Does Revell have does Duff have a Revell Foose 48 Eldorado he wants to part with? No, so I already sold one of those off. I had one, and then it was just one of those kits that I was like, I'm not going to build that. I do have my Foose truck. I did keep that. I like that truck.
Do you have a favorite of everything?
Favorite? I don't know. It's too much.
Yeah.
I don't think anything is bad. I love having the 67 Cougar. I love that body style of Cougar. It's basically a Mercury Ford Mustang proportionally. And
that's what makes those cool in themselves is, Mustangs are overrated. They're nice, but, the Cougar was every bit as nice of a car, but you don't see them as much.
And I have a 69. It's not the same one you have, but I have a 69 Cougar, and I like that body style. I actually built one of those for my mom when I was a kid, painted it yellow. It's her favorite color. But I like the 67 body style better.
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That's
a heck of a collection. Let's do the other one. That was too tight of a crop.
Nobody wants to see that much of me. Go upstairs, my wife's gonna be like, "That's too much of you."
Well, I mean, here we are. We're approaching 2 hours, and my first interview of a guy who's not actually building models. So it's just every bit as interesting. Everything you brought to the table today, I really enjoyed it. So where else can we all find you there? I think I have an Instagram link in my description.
I am on as the Stash Project. I am on YouTube. I am on Instagram. And I also created a very long time ago, and I know you joined it the other day because I saw I have a very, very old Facebook group that's not particularly active. That was that if you look at the description for that, if anybody ever looks at that, it's like the point of this is stash reduction.
Yeah, when I read that, I chuckled.
and since I started that Facebook group, I think my collection's probably doubled in size. It was probably 400 or 500 back then, and it's wildly out of control at this point. And say, everybody come by and take 10 kits, and they'll still be enough for the rest of my life.
You're welcome, Slugo. Any last questions from the audience out there, guys? I appreciate it.
Here's a question from the Peanut Gallery. Are you going to this show?
That one is, where's that located? I picked up that flyer.
Say it's in Massillon over by Canton.
Yeah, I got to go to that. What's the date? April? Okay, good. I got time. Yeah, I got to go through my flyers. But yeah, that's close enough. That's like within an hour away.
Yeah. I don't know if I would be able to make it to that or not. My wife has a 4K that day, but yeah, we're just talking about before we started the show. And I know this isn't true for everybody. I understand some people live in like the butt crack of Wyoming and stuff like that. But if you're over here, like on the East Coast, there are 10 flyers to model contests that are within 3 hours of Pittsburgh. We're blessed or cursed, depending on how you look at it, to be the Rust Belt. Because, you know, we talked about this when you were on our show. The Rust Belt, it continues to soldier on with hobby shops, with model contests, and things of that nature that I realize not everybody has. But if you're around Ohio or Pennsylvania, there are spring show season, fall show season, enough to keep everyone busy forever.
Well, for 6 months out of the year, we can't do all the other cool stuff that other people get to do around the country. So that's why we're down in our basements building.
That's right. It's going to be 27 degrees tonight, folks.
I know. I just planted some grass seed yesterday. I knew better because it was 75 degrees. And I'm like doing yard work, and I rode my bike, and I'm like, man, I need to get this grass done. I knew it was going to get cold again, so it's probably not going to take. We'll see. But I don't know. I think this summer I'm going to enjoy the weather a little bit more, because this was a little bit more of a brutal winter for us. Oh, yeah. Not horrible, but more severe than it has been.
Interesting weather chat with Ken and James, right? We all got like 18 inches of snow, and then it got real cold, and it stayed for like a month. And it was like,
yeah, I got really tired of that.
I don't mind the snow, but it can go. Whenever it comes, it goes, and it goes away. But no, that hung around this year.
Yeah. Luckily, we weren't in New York. My buddy Jim Papa's model workshop, he got that first 18 inches or so like we did. But then the second storm came by like 2 weeks later, and we missed it, or it missed us, but it hit him with like 24 more inches. In fact, it flooded his basement when it was when everything was melting. When the snow melted, it flooded his basement. No rain, it just the melting snow flooded his basement. So he had to tear his whole hobby room apart.
Undoubtedly thrilling to everyone to know, but yeah, I got water in my basement last night from that rain that we had come through.
Oh,
came down here this morning, and I have like two, like this window behind me is above the ground, right? And so I have two that are sub ground that are in window wells. Usually that one doesn't leak, and it must have rained cats and dogs overnight, and it went underneath the windowsill, the seal of the window, down the wall, and I came down here and I went, oh no, things are on the floor wet. Nothing that's going to be damaged. I don't have a finished basement. And I walked over and went splash, and went, oh, that's standing water. No.
You know, I am extremely lucky because I am at the bottom of a hill. The whole neighborhood runs down past, I'm at the bottom of the hill. So all that rain from the whole neighborhood funnels past my house. And I don't even have a sump pump system here in the basement, and I never get water. Knock on wood here, but how lucky could I be on the bottom of a hill? So, anyways, do you have any parting comments? Anything else you want to share with us, James?
No, I think that was a reasonably good facsimile of educating people about judging. They probably don't want anything else to do with it because nobody likes to talk about it. It's like the taboo thing, right, Ken? It's like, oh, judging. We don't talk about that. We don't want to.
Yeah, but I'm glad we did it because you really helped clarify what it's all about. Like when I left Sharon, I was so confused. I did a video and I holding up all these awards saying, I don't get it. I won first place 10 times. I don't understand. Now I do.
The chat here on the backside of it, talking about the John Carlo toy shows. I'm going to go with Tony. The less you say about John Carlo's toy shows, the better. It's an interesting scam that guy was running. Not a scam, but he the whole reason why NNL was split into 2 days was because that toy show was its own thing on Sunday. And no, we're going to talk about groundwater penetration. Yeah, all right. So I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I know that it's not necessarily probably the most thrilling topic to talk about. It was a lot of just sort of chit chat, but hopefully some people found that informative. Go out to a show, even if you don't take anything to a show, just go to the show, get out, hang out with your modelers, look at the stuff on the table. Even if you don't bring anything, it's going to be inspirational to you to see other people's work and kickstart a project that you didn't realize you needed to build until you walk through the doors that day. And, it's just a good time. Get out of your house. We all spent so much time cramped up in our houses the last several years. Get out. Go to a show. There's so many of these 10 shows that I was just talking about. 4 of them didn't exist 3 years ago. So, more and more shows are popping up. People are starting to getting the idea of what NNL East and even IPMS National knows a judge contest is about. It's about the camaraderie. It's about getting together with your friends. If you're talking about like an NNL East, we see those people once a year, and that's it. That one day in April, it was the same way when it was in Toledo. I had people that I knew in Michigan, and it was the one time a year I saw those guys. It was in Toledo. Go hang out with your friends. I think we've all found, especially this past year, your friends can leave. In unexpected ways, fun things, cancer and all that sort of stuff. Go hang out with your friends, meet them, hang out with them while you have the time. It's one day. Talk to your wife. Tell her you need to go out.
Well said. I am so excited. I think it's April 25th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to do Acme this year and down there in Atlanta. Those two just sound like those are the two you just don't want to miss at least once in your life. So. With that being said, I guess it's time to wrap it up there, folks. I don't like to run too long because you won't want to watch me in reruns. So next week, we're going to have Natalie Prue on, and we're going to see model building from a female's perspective, and she's a really good builder, too, by the way. So, and it's funny, she kind of taught herself and got into the hobby all by herself. So it's going to be interesting talking about that. James, I really appreciate what you've done for me tonight. I thought you brought some really good stuff to the table and helped explain stuff. So thank you for your time tonight. And to all you guys watching, we'll see you next time. Have a good week and keep on modeling. Bye, all.
See you guys on the other side.
Okay.